So chat is getting cut off a little bit. I need to fix that. Chat,
Oof.
I have to size you down a wee bit. Getting cut off. No.
Professional idiots.
It's-
Hmm.
At least me.
Are you talking about yourself then?
Yes. Easily.
Oh no, Nietzsche is gonna be evil.
Loads M1014 with evil intent. Just call it the Benelli M4, okay? No one cares about those extra numbers. Take out the 101 and it's just M4. Benelli M4, thank you. No one cares about those extra numbers. They know what you're talking about. You can't convince me otherwise. No one cares about those extra numbers. What do you mean? No one cares. There's just 3 extra numbers in between M and 4, and it's all good. Just take those out, and we're chilling.
I shall use military designation.
No.
Hmm.
When have you ever known me to be politically correct on something? When have you
Never.
ever known me? Exactly. See? Luna gets it.
Never.
Also, I think Cliff at one point asked us about LMGs.
Yeah, there was some question about LMGs or some talk about it.
LMG opinion on LMGs. H-bar AUG is underrated.
MG3.
Ooh, MG3 is good. I do like a good MG3. Although if we're gonna go German on LMGs, HK21.
Not bad.
That's some good shit right there. Maybe I'm biased, but that's some good shit.
Yes.
It's just G3 with belt and cyclic rate of Jesus.
It goes from the run and cover to you have a cover.
Yeah. It's just that thing. And the thing that's spooky about the HK21 is the cyclic rate, but also the recoil mitigation that some bitch gets, because it don't move a lot compared to other LMGs. It's fairly stable comparative, and it's light. That's the other thing. It's lighter. Well, light is a relative term when you're talking about LMGs. It's still fucking heavy, but compared to other LMGs, it's fairly light. It's the same thing I like about the H-bar. The H-bar AUG is really light comparative to other LMGs, but it still puts some oomph out. So
yeah.
So
But again, there is something about German made equipment, especially in the battlefield area, like MP5s, HK416, 17s, G36, you name it. Like there is something special about them.
They just work. They just work. Well, until they don't.
And also
until they don't.
Yeah. Until they don't. Yeah. The G36 had the experience of actually melting. But again, where were they trying it out? Yeah.
Yeah.
In a desert somewhere?
Yeah. The UMP kind of had the same problem because they're poly. That polymer, I think it's the same polymer. The UMP and the G36 use the same polymer, and it was known to melt when you started to heat it up too much, which isn't great. But I think that's most polymer guns that have the full auto feature.
XM338.
Is that the new SIG one? Is that what you're talking about?
Isn't it? I think it is.
I think that's the new SIG one that's using 338 Lapua instead of 308 like a sane person.
They went from destroying the cover to destroying the cover behind the cover.
Yeah. Because you want to fuck up the person and the family behind the person you're shooting.
Yes.
This gun's rated E for everyone. 338 Norma. I don't know that it matters, Chief. I think the point still stands.
Yeah.
I don't think it fucking matters. You're gonna shoot the guy you're shooting at, the cover behind him, the family of 5 behind that cover, and the house behind it. I don't think it matters. You're gonna turn everyone behind your target into fucking tomato soup, and you're gonna do it quickly. That's the scary part. I mean, sure, having a little bit more oomph to an LMG, sure, but I don't know that you want it on something that's not mounted to something. That just seems a little too spicy. Shockingly lighter than the 240. Yeah, well, that's not a great margin because the 240 is heavy as shit. Doesn't
And
mean a whole
also,
lot.
think about, again, keep that in mind. When was the XM338 made
That's a fairly
compared to
recent
the
gun.
M240B?
Yeah, that's a very recent gun.
Because
240's been around forever.
today they make guns based on what kind of metal they have, what kind of quality the metal have, and sure, it does bump up the price of the gun.
Oh yeah.
But like the M240 Bravo was made in the time, wasn't it the Cold War something?
I believe it was a little bit before the Cold War. Let me
Yeah. Anyway, like it was made in a time where the light metal, like the light and sturdy and very solid metals weren't actually that well familiar or well known. So again,
Either that
like
or they didn't want to use it in a gun that got hot. Because metals like that are sometimes a little malleable when they heat up. You don't want that.
Yeah, yep, that's actually true.
The M2.
But again, we can't make fun of the M2 anyway.
Yeah, 1977.
The Medusa.
So yeah, just a little bit, either before or after the Cold War.
Yeah.
It was a little bit after the Cold War, I think.
Yeah, no, because the M60 was before.
Yeah. So yeah, it would
the M240 Bravo was. The M240 was supposed to replace the M60. But again, the M60 didn't actually fully stop being used.
I mean, it's used in surplus, but it's not being issued or anything. No, it's not continuing to be moved, used a lot.
There is still some active branches I have heard that still use the M60.
Maybe
there is still some of them.
Maybe I don't know about here in the state. I'm sure there are here in the States, but I feel like most of them have moved off to the 240, the 249, or the M2, depending on usage. I'm sure the M60 is still floating around somewhere in our armed forces. I'm sure. I wouldn't doubt it at all. But I don't know that it's a popular choice among the LMG or MMG categories anymore. I don't think it is.
But again, like, whatever. The what was the nickname for the M60?
Oh Lord. Shit.
Oh, it had a cool name.
It does. The pig. Yeah, the pig.
Yeah, the pig.
Yep.
And to say it this way, a gun doesn't get a nickname for no reason.
It's because it eats a lot of ammo.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. But also it. There has been some reports about the Vietnam War, where actually the Vietnamese people really feared the M60 because of the efficiency it had.
Yeah, like Mitch is saying, it broke down a lot, though. That's part of why it got the nickname.
Yeah, but again, what happened with the M4 and M16s? They broke down a lot as well because of the wrong creation of the
3-round burst.
Yeah, really not only that, but the bolt was created wrongly by some companies.
No, not really.
Wasn't it?
Not
really?
Not particularly.
You sure?
I don't.
Yeah,
I know the bolt getting made wrong. I know they had issues. I think it was something. I thought one of the. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I thought it was something with the sears internally that caused problems more than the bolt. I know. I mean, M4s are notorious. The bolts do wear out quickly, but I don't know that was the main issue they had. You just had to kind of keep on top of them. Because they do, I mean, even civilian market M4s have now, in current era, have the same problem. The bolts wear out really quickly after a couple thousand rounds through them. So
Because again, I'm just going to respond to you. I know the M60 was dog shit to a certain degree because it's a mechanic system that actually were quite well familiar getting dirt in it. So of course it broke down. Yeah. But I do remember it was an M4 or M16 something that had some problems with the bolt system, because I think it was Colt or another brand that was creating the gun. They didn't go through the metalwork as thoroughly as the main producer of the M4 or M16.
say the main producer of the M4 is Colt, but I don't know.
There was other companies assisting, like creating.
Yeah. I know what you're talking. I don't remember what that was. It might be what Mitch is talking about, with the teething issues internally with some of it, or teething. There we go, like on the gears and stuff. See, the M14 also kind of had problems like that as well. That's what Mitch is getting at. The M14 kind of had those issues.
Yeah, it was the M16 that had problems.
Yeah, so M14 was kind of there for a little bit. It was not
the humidity corroded the rifles in her components.
Yeah, I think the corrosion issues were kind of part
of it. The manufacturer had decided against chrome plating because of that. That was it. So it was the bolt itself being fucked. But again, we can all agree that a lot of guns had a lot of problems. Duh.
Yep.
Like in World War II,
I mean, the problems that you see with guns is what like big name guns like the M4 or like problems that you see with the AK. Not that there were many that the AK had, but those problems that you see or inadequacies are what lead to the next innovation in gun design in the future.
Yes.
I mean, you saw it with the M1 going to the M14, the M14 going to the Mark 14, and then so on and so forth. Like you see it like iterate into different things. I mean, you saw it with the MP40, and then going like to new age SMGs like the UMP, the MP5, MPX, all those fun little dudes. So it's not like you're necessarily ragging on guns.
No,
in any way.
Like
it's
all
just,
guns,
these
every gun has their problems,
and then you just build off of it.
Like even the quote unquote Hitler's Buzzsaw had its drawbacks because it got so extremely hot. That's the reason why the German manufacturer took down the amount of like bullets per second. Because it shot so fast that it went a little bit too hard to change the barrel mid-fight. So they down-tuned it, basically. And
I mean,
that's
that
the
led to quick
MG42.
change. Yeah, MG42, which then became the MG3. I believe it was
what is it with Mitch not agreeing to anything at all?
I don't know. He's being very cantankerous over there.
Yeah, maybe he's just trolling.
Maybe.
Again, like all brands.
MG34 and then MG42. So we were right.
Yeah,
it was MG42. At least that was one
that
of them.
was just what I said. The MG34 was the one shooting so fast, it went so extremely hot. And the MG42 was the one that was easier to maintain because it didn't shoot as fast and didn't get as warm.
And then that went to the MG3, which is, I believe, 308 NATO standard.
Yes. And it's being used by Norwegian forces today.
But what I was going to say, though, that heating problem that you saw in the early 34s, I mean, I don't know how much that affected it, but I personally think that issue led to quick change barrels across the board for LMGs, because the M60 I think had that, the 240 has that, the M249 has that. I believe the RPK has a quick change barrel of some kind.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Again,
I don't know. I'm fairly certain the PKM and the PKP do. I'm pretty sure they do. But that issue that occurred in a very well-known LMG then transferred off to other guns, good old mother of invention there.
Yeah. Anyway, no matter what kind of gun and what kind of manufacturer, whatever way created, every gun have their problems because sometimes people are cutting shortcuts just to save some money on it and stuff like that. So, yeah, by the way, Mitch, I do know that. But again, there is also some changes to the MG3 compared to the MG42, other than just external.
Yeah, so I guess the ammo changes. The big one, it's NATO standard ammo instead of what was it? Was it 8mm? No, 8mm
Mauser?
Kurtz is that's the STG-44. Is it 8mm Mauser? Is that what the MG42 was chambered in?
I think it was. Again, Mauser? I haven't shot one, but I could if it wasn't for that fact it's almost 3 a.m. I could have called somebody that I know from the Norwegian military because he'd been actually shooting with most of the but even though it says 7.92 Mauser, people say 8.
It is, yeah. Say
8mm.
Yay, I was right.
Yeah.
I know a thing. Yay!
Yeah.
I did a thunk. I
it's
used
more
my
common.
brain juice.
Yeah, again, Mitch, you have to think about it differently also because
it's not called
the whole world doesn't do it your way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they don't call it 7.92 in not like common like nomenclature. They don't call it that.
Yeah. Again, there is people in the world that thinks that Norway is the capital of Sweden, okay?
Oh my lord, what?
Just,
what?
Yes. Yes.
What? No, those are not the same country.
Exactly.
Not the same, Chief. So, those are different.
Keep in mind, things are different in the US than Europe or Norway or Sweden, Denmark, whatever. There is always a big difference. Some people pinpoint the exact size of the rounds as the 7.92 Mauser, but we say it not 9mm, but 8mm Mauser. We normally do say that in Europe.
See, as far as I know, it's always been 8mm Mauser. I've never heard someone say 7.92, even if they're talking about the MG34 or the MG42 or whatever, what have you. Never heard someone call it 7.9.
No, because
unless you're like getting really uber specific, and in which case, yes, it does matter. There is fair, but in common like nomenclature and speaking, it's always been called 8mm Mauser. I mean, I get that, Mitch, but in general speaking, it's that's I've never heard it called 7.9.2. 7.92. I've never heard it called that. So, just going off of what it's normally said as. But
I know one thing for sure, that Mitch shouldn't meet a Norwegian military or German military because it's gonna trigger him. Trust me, it will. Like, we can all agree that the American people or military has one way to do things. The Norwegian military have a different way to do things.
Yes.
Lol. Again, Mitch, we are not the one designing or saying this out of just spite. It's actually other people that have done it way before us.
Yeah.
So take it up with them. Sadly enough, a lot of those people are actually dead now because they are old or were old. Now they are underground.
I mean, they're technically still old, even though they're not alive. They're still old. Their bones are still there. Them are old bones. Old bones.
Maybe. Again, we didn't say it. We didn't start it, so
we didn't start the fire.
Yep. Mitch, if you're gonna go that route, there is a lot of things that the games doesn't get right.
Should we talk about Vanguard now or later? Have you seen the caliber change? Have you seen the caliber changes you can do in Vanguard? Have you seen it?
Yeah, Mitch, you choose to go this road.
You chose this. You chose.
Yes, you chose it.
You chose. Hey, who wants to chamber a Thompson and 50 cal? Who wants to put 50 AE into a Mauser? Who wants to do it? I'm ready. Send me in, Chief. I want a Mosin chambered in 50 BMG, please.
And don't forget, we had red dots in World War II.
Yeah, that too. And not just red dots, but multiple colors of red dots.
Yes.
Also really cool. I love me a good blue dot on my fucking Thompson with my little bladed foregrip and the really short barrel and the no stock option. Love that shit. Love that shit. Oh, and the 100 round drum mag. Don't forget the 100 round drum mag. That has to be on there because I can't hit shit. I have to compensate with more ammo for my lack of accuracy. Boom. I got it.
So yeah, Mitch, I think you can agree to this little gray area where some people still say 8mm instead of the technical name of the rounds.
Mm-hmm.
You have to admit, it's still more legit than everything that we just talked about because of Vanguard. Like, no. Vanguard, they really fucked up.
Oh, they fucked up bad.
Yes.
They fucked up so bad, even the non-gun nerds of COD knew they fucked up.
Yes.
Their entire fan base knew they fucked up. Just some of us were not willing to play where others were. I didn't touch that game with a 10-foot barge pole. I watched other people suffer instead.
When you're talking about old Call of Duty, I will admit that the best card was the first card.
I'm not going to fix it, Mitch, because I can't. That's an automated thing from the beginning of stream. And since nobody wanted to come and have fun on DayZ, this is what we're doing now. I can't fix that. That's automated. I'm not fixing shit. Don't tell me what to do. Also, hello, Wicked. Vanguard was bullshit.
That's what we have actually derailed so hard that it's
we took a fucking
we were talking about
we took a hard left turn 3 separate times and went somewhere completely different. I don't know where we left off, but holy lord.
We were mainly talking about the MP5s, airsoft MP5s.
We started talking about LMGs and airsoft, and we went off on a fucking tangent about M60s and shit. That's right. That's what we were doing. Let's see. Let's see. I brought 2 like separate questions. Do you? What about you? You got any questions? Any questions that you like from the airsoft world? Say next time we do this, we'll have like more of like a script, quote unquote, to follow, like more talking points. But this was more of an impromptu thing. So
again, you have to keep this in mind, Wolf. I have done this more than you, or for longer than you.
That is true. So I'm going.
So I'm not sure if I have
9 years. Well, just like what are some questions that you like? What are some questions that you've gotten from people before that you like or have like an interesting or unpopular opinion about? Like it can be anything. There's just anything.
Well, I can start with this fact that a lot of like people in, especially the Norwegian airsoft community, a lot of the people who have been doing it for some time are going a little bit too hardcore.
Really?
So I have had some people ask me if they should start with HPA and stuff like that.
I do like that question. You continue, but I like where this is going. I think I know what your question's going to be. Go ahead.
You know Negative Airsoft, right?
Yes, I've heard of it. I've heard of it.
The British airsoft tech.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
I like the way he kind of pointed out. He rather piss blood than go HPA.
Yeah.
Because the problem with a lot of the HPA people is that they do not like to lose towards an AEG. For example. Because a lot of people use so much money on kitting up a rifle for HPA, that they are forgetting the most important thing about airsoft: have fun.
Exactly.
It's just having fun. It's a hobby. For them, it's actually almost like it's real life situation. Like, if you die in this, you die.
If you die in the game, you die in real life.
Yes. Because I'm just gonna like state it how it actually like kind of affects the Norwegian community. One of the guys that I used to play with on the old team, he wanted to go more and more HPA. And today I got the information about him that actually made me laugh much, because he's starting to make enemies because of his attitude. Like, I don't mind HPA itself. It's a good concept.
Yeah.
I don't mind AAG or GBB or Springer for that sake. I love everything about airsoft, because airsoft. It's the hobby I've been enjoying since I was young. Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm super duper old or something, but I was 18 years old when I started playing airsoft, and it has been the best hobby ever for me. So when people are asking me if I recommend starting with a HPA or upgrading to HPA, I'm actually just being honest and saying, no, you shouldn't, unless you really want to being a lawnmower, because HPA have the advantage of a high rate of fire, as long as you have mags for it.
If you choose to use it.
Yeah. But again, as I said, you have the option.
Yes.
For it. You just need to make sure the HPA system is well lubed.
Yep.
Of course. You need to make sure it has the mags for it that goes for a high rate. You can't just take a regular like basic M4 mag or MP5 or AK mag, whatever, and expect it to shoot, say, 30 rounds a second.
No.
Because the spring in some mags are slower, or made for just the regular like 20, 15 rounds per second.
Yeah.
And if you have a gun that shoots about 30 to 40 rounds per second,
good fucking luck.
The mag doesn't. Yeah, the mag doesn't catch up with it. So I'm advising people not to go HPA when they are quite new to the game. Go for an AEG. That's top of the line, because there is less maintenance compared to a gas blowback.
Oh yeah.
You have a better rate of fire than a Bolt or a Springer. And also, it's not as demanding and high priced as an HPA. It's a good middle ground. So that's also where I advise people to get an M4 platform. If you want a long buy, well, a long buy.
Yeah.
If you want a short buy,
I wholeheartedly agree with your entire. Even as someone who owns not one, but two HPA systems, one from Vulcan and one from Polarstar, two completely separate ends of the spectrum. One built for like the V12 that I have, even though I have it in a really short, like wannabe honey badger, that thing is meant for really high accuracy, high precision DMRs. And the Polarstar F2 is kind of meant more for like standard to shorter guns. So, two completely different ends of the spectrum. Whenever people ask me which, like, if they should go HPA, should, like, they're just starting up, they want to be like all the cool airsoft YouTubers. They want the HPA stuff so they can shoot really fast and get really good range. And it's like, hold the phone, Chief. Hold up. You're missing something here, because it's not that great.
It's right not off that the simple.
Rip. It is not that simple. It is not.
By the way, Mitch, don't forget to flip the eggs in that joke.
What? Oh, Lord.
The pansexual have reached the kitchen. Don't forget to turn the eggs.
Also, Mitch, thank you for the one bit earlier. I missed it, but thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, goon out there, Mitch. Appreciate it.
Yeah. See you, Mitch.
Yeah,
Thanks for the argument.
Thank you for the arguments, although none of them agreed with us. That's fine.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to agree. It just proves that you're wrong. That's all.
Hey, it proves that we are humans. We have different opinions.
Some of us are more wrong than others. Anyway, I don't know why I'm being so
That's the fight. That's the fight for you. I'm not going to agree to that fight. I'm not going to take part of it.
I don't need to be antagonistic. It's just funny because I know Mitch can take it. He's okay. He's fine.
Oh yeah, I know Mitch can take it.
He's fine. He'll smack me back for it later. It's okay.
Yeah.
At some point he'll hit me with something. He's waiting, but he'll get me with it. But
yeah.
I totally agree because the HVA question, it is something I get a lot from people, and the thing that I think bugs me about it is I get that question more from like younger players than I have in recent. Like more recently, I get that from younger players than before, and it's like, guys, you're missing the point. You're trying to speed run. You're literally trying to speed run the experience of Airsoft. You're skipping the fun parts where you can just not give a shit and just go out with whatever gun and just play and have fun. And you're trying to speed run directly to one of the hardest platforms to use and maintain. Like, I don't talk about it because, it takes a lot of, tinkering and stuff, and it would take a long time to explain. Oh, sorry, I had a burp. But I have spent literal hours just playing with the FCUs on each of my HPA systems without ever taking them out to the field, without ever doing anything else to them. Just messing with the electrical systems to get them to fire exactly when I want them to. And it is that is not something that is for the faint of heart, because some people will get very disheartened because they expect, I'm spending this much on a part. Like, the F2 is very pricey. I think it's somewhere in like the $450 range right now if you want to get the full, like if you're starting from scratch, getting an FCU, getting a battery, getting the unit, getting the correct nozzle, getting the tank, the line, the regulator, all of it. I think it's somewhere in the $450 to $550 range for just that. That's not including a gun. The gun is a whole separate issue. Whatever you intend on putting it on, that's a whole separate issue. It takes a lot of time and a lot of tinkering to get that to work. Had I not gone from an AEG first, learned the ins and outs of the version 2 gearbox, which is what I started with, and then like completely tuned out rifles to the point where I was comfortable taking guns apart and all this other stuff, I would never have touched an HPA unit. And if I had, I would have been fucked. If I had jumped straight to an HPA unit, I would have been totally boned because I would have had no idea what I was doing. None. And I would have just dropped $450 to $550 on something that didn't do what I wanted it to do out of the box. And that's what you have to expect out of an HPA unit. It's not going to work probably the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time, however many times it takes for you to get it right. It's not going to work exactly how you want it to. You're not going to get the range. You're not going to get the consistency. You're not going to get the precision out of it that you want. You're not going to get any of what you want out of it if you don't have the patience to fiddle with it and just accept the fact that until you get it dialed in, you're going to fucking suck. It's the same problem that snipers have. Going straight into sniping, if you don't have the patience and the wherewithal to do it, you're going to suck at it and you're not going to want to do it. And you're going to have spent all this money on something that you hate using. So it's not, I would not at all. I completely agree. I do not recommend HPA to people. I typically will recommend them an AEG, a solid AEG of some kind. If they're feeling really, really adventurous, a GBB, sure, go for it. It's going to be kind of pricey. It's going to be a little cantankerous, but not as much as an HPA. Not even close. So I'm right there with you, even as someone who owns 2 of them. I put a lot of time and a lot of effort into this.
To say it this way, I got my HPA system for free. It was donated to me from the quote-unquote old team that I used to play with. So I guess it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt for them to suddenly have the enemy. I'm going to call myself the enemy because I don't think they are much fan of me because they are still crying about it. But the funny thing is, like, using how much did I'm going to double check here because I want to make sure. I'm
gonna grab.
I want to check about how much they were using.
Come here, you little gremlin.
Okay, so almost $1,100 or euros. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
did they use on buying this? Oh, almost actually
Say the
$1,200
fusion
actually.
engines are pricey, so that makes
Oh
sense.
yeah,
Fusion engines
and
are
also
expensive.
yeah, I know. I have checked because
Mm-hmm.
I was like considering like just buying a new unit itself,
Yep.
and I was like, it seems cheaper for me to just try to fix the one I have.
Yeah, and the ones where I get questions about like should I get a fusion
Ooh,
engine? Ooh, that's a good question. We'll get to that in a second, and
hmm,
that's a good. I like that one. My answer might honestly surprise a little bit, um, just because of the answer I would give. But back to we'll get. That's the next question. We'll tackle that here in just a
yeah,
moment.
we will tackle that.
We'll tackle that. But with the HPA stuff, right?
Hmm.
The oh god, what was I gonna say? Oh, the when people ask me like if they're looking to get into HPA, right? Like they've done the
Yeah,
whole AEG thing. They're like, okay, I'm ready for something just a little different to try to challenge myself. It's like, okay, cool. You've
yeah.
done all the steps ahead of that. Cool. What unit are you looking to get at? And they say the fusion engine, and that's the one they want. It's like, oh, buddy, I get
You're
the
in for
appeal.
a task.
I get the appeal. I really do. But do you understand what kind of task you are taking up right now? Do you honestly
Hmm.
understand what you're trying to take on? Because I don't own a fusion engine, and there's a reason for it. I have a Vulcan V12, which is currently in my hand, which is why I grabbed it. It is a drop-in unit,
Yeah,
just like the fusion engine, but it's made by Vulcan. It's a lot easier to set up, and the reason being, it doesn't have an FCU. It's completely
yeah,
tuned for a specific spec as soon as you put a nozzle into it. Once you put the nozzle into it, because I think they have a silver, a black, a gold, and a red. This one has the red in it. It's entirely dependent on what you put into the gun to make it shoot right. Like
yeah.
bucking, nub, barrel, nozzle, and obviously the overall length of the gun. I am using it in a short
Hmm.
gun, which isn't really what the V12 is meant for. It really isn't. It's meant more for a DMR platform, but it
Yeah.
works really well in this configuration because of what I've done to it and what I've tuned it with. This short
Hmm.
dude shoots about the same distance, if not further, than some of my longest rifles because of how I've tuned it. If I didn't have that like know it all, or the knowledge to do that, the V12 would be fucking useless to me. Absolutely
Hmm.
useless because I would have had no idea how to do anything. The fusion engine is that to an extreme because you have the added element of an FCU. Uh,
Yeah.
so if you don't know how to tune an FCU and you don't know how to like get it all set up or what to use with it, the fusion engine is going to give you problems. I've seen more problems with fusion engines than I've seen with probably any other HPA system,
HBA unit.
excluding the Kythera. And the reason the Kythera has problems is because of the trigger linkage, and that's a whole
Yeah,
separate thing. That's a unit that kind of stands off on its own. So I'm not even going to
yeah.
include it.
But again, take that with a grain of salt also,
Mhm.
because at the same time, it's a little bit confusing and difficult to deal with. It's
Yeah.
also one of the most simpler gearboxes because there is no electrician
Yes.
at all.
That is the one thing
You
about the
don't need a
Kythera.
battery.
You don't need a battery for it, which I totally
Hmm.
am behind. I totally get that. Because
Hmm.
what that does allow you to do with the Kythera is use it in wet environments. It doesn't have an electrical
Exactly.
system at all, which is really fucking cool. So it completely eliminates any sort of damage to the internals via water. Obviously, if water gets into the pneumatics of it, that's a problem. But like,
That's
say if
always
you,
been pretty fun.
yeah, say that's always going to be a problem with rifles in general. But I mean, if
Yep.
you're out and it starts raining and you're out like a Milsim West or something like that, Kythera is gonna that's gonna chew through that like nothing. Gonna be no problem
Hmm.
whatsoever. Nothing. And that is one thing that the V12 and the Fusion engine have as well going for them, is because they're all an enclosed system. The Jack,
Hmm.
the Polar Star F1 and F2, those aren't enclosed systems. So water is going to be more of a problem for them than the F2 would, or the Fusion engine would be. But that's a
Hmm.
whole separate discussion. The Fusion engine, though, when people ask if that's a good first option, I do grimace just a little bit. It's like, Are you sure you want? Are you sure the jack, the Polar jack, very affordable, very easy to tune, very easy to work with. Why not look at a jack? Why not? Or like if you really want to splurge a little bit, go with the F1 or the F2 or even Mancroft. Mancroft has some good ones too. Very good. Fusion Engine is a little tricky. That's a tricky one. I don't like to recommend that one as a first.
Yeah, but there is
first one rather first.
There is still an exception.
Mm-hmm.
If you get the Bluetooth Gorilla FCU,
yeah. If you're getting
then
it
you can use the phone to tune it.
Yeah, which does make it a lot
that will
easier.
help a lot.
It does.
Way easier.
But you still need to know what you're doing with it. Because if you don't know how to tune it in the first place, having it connect to the phone, as far as I know, doesn't make it any easier. You still kind of have to know what dwell pressure and all that sort of stuff does. You have to know how to set it up correctly. Which there are plenty of videos out there to do it, but it just... For someone first jumping into HPA or first, like, getting a handle on it, I mean, if you've done all the reading and you've done all, like, you've done the research ahead of time, it shouldn't be a problem. It's the people that have little to no idea how HPA works or how, like, what it does or, like, how to tune it, and they ask me if a Fusion Engine is a good option for them, that's where I get, like, ooh, no, you probably need something else. Because it's very person dependent. If you've got the ability to tune that and you know what you're doing, sure, Fusion Engine's not a bad first one. It's very, very solid. It's a very good engine. It just has to be tuned and there's a certain level of readiness you have to be at to go for that. You can't just decide like, oh, I'm just going to do this just to have it, just to see how it goes. It doesn't work that way. Not quite the same.
Nope.
There's a lot.
But anyway, always like for me, this is the first time I'm having an HPA, so I'm actually a little bit excited to actually get some knowledge about it.
Yeah. Say, and for someone like you, I would never grimace at you asking about getting a Fusion Engine for the first time because you've been around long enough, around the airsoft scene long enough to kind of know what you're doing with it. It's the younger crowd that when they ask me for their first one, being the Fusion, that's the one that worries me. And I mean, there's other reasons with that. It's trigger discipline, knowing when to stop shooting on the giggle switch. Because I'm sure you have seen plenty of videos with younger individuals getting their hands on a Fusion Engine or something like it, and they get it set to just go as fast as possible with no care whatsoever for how hard it's shooting, how accurate it's shooting, how consistently it's shooting. They just go for speed. And that's not a healthy mindset to have with an almost $600 or $700 unit. That is not a healthy mindset to have with that kind of a unit in there. Because either you're going to cause problems for yourself in using it that way, or you're going to hurt the system itself by using it as hard as you are. There's a balance there. So that's more where I get kind of like, ooh, I don't know about this. I don't know if you should have a Fusion Engine, both because of just, easy to use and easy set upness of the Fusion, and also you as a person having a Fusion Engine makes me a little skeezed out.
Yeah.
So
again, it's from person to person.
It does.
If the person has a lot of knowledge about airsoft from before, then it's okay.
Fusion Engine's not a problem for people who know what they're doing at all. No.
I'm going to be honest and say right now I don't know exactly what I'm doing because I never had HPA before, but I'm willing to learn, and it's going to help me in the long run because if somebody is coming afterwards to me and ask for help, I already have knowledge about it.
Yeah. Say, and the other advent is you happen to have somebody who's currently in the call with you who, should things go awry, can, help you a little bit in tuning things, because I've been around the block enough times with my own HPA systems. If you tell me what's wrong with yours, I can probably tell you what exactly needs to be fixed or altered a little bit. So, kind of like how you were with the sniping stuff here lately. So
but again, I'm going to be honest and say, I have that in my pocket, but I do have a suspicion about the fact that I might not actually need your help with it.
And that's fair if you don't.
Just
It's
because
just
of the
there if you need
knowledge.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. If I have something to worry about or ask about, then I know exactly who to go to. I'm not going to go to everybody else.
Yeah. Say exactly. Say it's just the point I was making is not everyone has that, and that's the problem. That's where people get into trouble, is because they assume
Yes.
they know better rather than asking
Mhm.
someone who actually knows better.
Exactly.
I was there at one point with my F2. I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I was wrong. I did not.
Yeah.
Now I do. And I won't make that fucking mistake again.
Because of us talking about this, I just want to bring it up.
Mm.
I got to know today that the old team, the guy who was quote unquote supposed to be fixing for or fixing up every airsoft gun in the group, the old group.
Mm-hmm.
I got to know that today that basically every fucking airsoft gun at his location is in parts.
Oh, good. We love
And some people have been complaining about him taking over a year to fix a gun.
that. Ooh, yeah, you don't want that.
No.
Unless it's a thing where like the parts he's ordering just aren't coming in, that's understandable. That's not on him. If he's actually ordered the parts and stuff, that's he's just waiting for parts to come in. He can't do anything about that. But actively just holding on to guns and not fixing them, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yes. After what I understood, the guy I got this information from, he got a rifle from one of the guys, and it's missing this is a HK417, so it's missing the block that actually holds the hop-up unit.
Oh,
on the inside, it's missing that.
I'm sure.
No, exactly. It's missing the barrel itself. It's missing the hop-up unit, of course. So there is a reason why he got the gun for free. And I was like, oh my, I do actually feel sorry for you. If you find out that you want my help, let me know and I'll find the parts needed. And if the case is the real deal, I'll order them for you. Okay, I'll take contact with you if needed. And it's like, oh my god, I feel sorry for you. Because apparently that's not the only gun missing parts because of the lack of knowledge with this guy. The guy who announced that he is good with repairing airsoft guns. Yeah.
You gotta love the airsoft tech who's somehow never fixed anything.
Yeah, the wannabe tech.
We've got a couple of those at Bing. I'm not gonna name names. I know who they are, and I mean they think they know what they're doing, but when you start it's when I start talking to them and they just kind of they tell on themselves without telling on themselves. Like when they try to tell me that a 13.1 is really, or a 13.1 gear set is really solid for an SSG, like a single sector gear, like a really fast shooting gun. It's like, no, it's not. I use 13.1s in my guns. Those are pretty, those are good for good like fire rate. I typically use them because I don't go for fire rate, but I do want a little more oomph behind it for like higher torque. That's not SSG. That's you need a specific spur gear for that. That only has a single nub on it for us. That's what the single sector gear thing saying. That's what that's all about.
Yeah.
You can't just do that with a standard 13.1 gear set or a 16.1 or an 18.1. You can't do that. That's not how it works.
Nope.
And I hear that a lot from certain people.
Hey, Zero.
Hello, Zero. What's going on? Well, we didn't have a big crew show up for DayZ. By that I mean it was me and Luna. So we just decided to do an impromptu podcast.
Just
tester.
talking shit about airsoft.
Yeah, it's just a little tester because I've been wanting to do like an airsoft podcast sort of deal. Is just for funsies, but your SSG is it might be 13.1. There's specific 13.1 gears for that.
Yeah.
It's not just any 13.1s. They're specifically made for a single sector gear. You can't just throw a normal non SSG 13.1 gear set into a gearbox and think that it's gonna run like that. It don't do that. It don't. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But yeah, that's fun. And then getting into talks with people talking about how regular nubs are better than R-hop or flat hops. It's like, no. Mm-mm. Typically, no.
To a certain point, it might be better, but again, also
there are
back and
advents
forth.
to them. Yeah, but just blatantly saying that they're better, no. It really depends what you want to do with them. If you're trying to get precision or if you're trying to get range, no, not really. R-hop or flat hop is typically going to be better for range or accuracy, just in general. I personally go with a modified flat hop myself. It's a mix between flat and R, but pick your poison. Standard just round nub is not really going to work the same. So just flat out saying it's better, not a great idea. So.
But anyway, not anyway, but anyway, I think we should go back to what a certain Megan was asking about.
Yes. I think we've beaten the HBA question down enough. We're deviating again. We're deviating. So let's see. Let me read it off again, just for anyone who's hopped in. This is Megan Horse Pickle. She brought in a question. If you don't already have it, what is your dream airsoft gun? Luna, would you like to go first, or do you want me to go first? Mine's going to be really quick.
You go first.
Mine's going to be really
fast.
Mine, I already own. I already have it. It is my WE MSK-03, or in the real world, it is the Remington ACR. Not the Magpul Masada. I have one of those as well. But I have it. If we're talking second to that, I also have it. It's the MSR. It's on the table in pieces next to me. And just behind that is the OG Magpul Masada, which I also have. So my answer to that is very simple. I already have them. Not saying that there aren't other guns that I wouldn't like to have, but those are my workhorses. I'm pretty content saying those are my dream guns and I have them. If I were going to say dream gun in general, it would be an actual ACR, chambered in either 5.56 or 6.8. Either one, I would not be picky, but a 6.8 would be really fucking cool, because those are very hard to get and very rare, but that would be really fucking neat. But yeah, I already have mine, so I can't say that I don't have my dream guns, because, well, I do. So, if we're talking pistols, I also have my FNX 45, which that's just money. But Luna, if you want to go ahead. Mine was pretty quick. So
yeah, yours pretty damn quick. My problem is, though, sure, I have a lot of my favorite guns, but again, I still have a lot of favorite guns I don't have.
That is true. I have a lot of those as well, but
so for me, this question is actually quite hard to respond to. If I'm just gonna say a gun that I don't have that I want to have, well, I have spoken about it, and you kind of have one, but not in the finish that I want, or the function that I want.
Yeah,
because I want it in gas blowback, because recoil feels good, and what can we say? There is something about the FAL. It's just something about it.
I will say that one's quickly becoming higher and higher in the list, more that I use it. So
yeah,
it's slowly gaining more and more traction in my list of things that need to be upgraded, or that I would like to upgrade, because it's one of the few version 3 guns that I have. But I also can't say that I prefer it more than the AUG in terms of version 3. Because that AUG has been my baby for a long time and hasn't been upgraded a whole lot. So the FL is a solid one. I don't have a GBB like you want, but
no. Again, you don't have the weather for it compared to what I do. Even though it's colder here, but still, none of my guns have problems in the cold because of the gas that I use and how well I maintain them.
Mm-hmm.
There is also another gun, again, gas blowback, and it's also because there is some story behind it for my sake. The AG3, the Norwegian version of the G3 rifle.
Oh,
yes.
What? Just out of curiosity, I know of the AG3. What's the difference between it and a normal G3? Is there any, or is it just G3 but
there
Norwegian?
It's not a big change actually. The biggest change is basically the buttstock is actually a little bit longer on the Norwegian one than the German one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I see that.
So,
It's just a little bit longer. Yeah, I pulled up a picture on my end. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And to say this way, I tried that one as well as gas blowback, and I was in love. Yeah, I know my throat is actually getting a little bit dry, so it sounds like I'm.
No, you're good.
Oh, that sounds bad.
Nah, it's fine.
Okay. But yeah, I'm a big fan of gas blowback guns. Again, why would I not be? Because they're so fun.
Just kind of a pullback of my initial saying I didn't have all the guns that I would want, like my dream rifle. I guess technically speaking, if I lived somewhere that would it would run better, a GBBR ACR would be really fucking cool. Especially if I could get a Daytona kit into it. That would be cool. A Daytona MSK, because I've seen them and I've shot one before. Yeah. It's fucking cool. That would be really neat. I would be down.
But again, that's HBA. That's HBA.
Yeah, but the only reason I would want it Daytona's those kits have a better kick, a better recoil impulse because they're HPA and they're more consistent. And again, where I live, it makes more sense to run an HPA GBBR than green gas because green gas it doesn't work as well here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's just because our weather is so goddamn bipolar. We go from really hot to really cold, and it makes the gas expand and then condense and then expand and condense. It doesn't run super well here.
Yeah,
and it's very expensive to run guns like that because you use so much gas.
Yeah,
a Daytona ACR would be really really cool. That would probably be on my list of dream guns.
Since we are talking about Daytona kit, there is actually a Daytona kit for MP5 as well.
Ooh. Oh yeah, I've seen.
And I have been honest. I actually want that.
Yeah, that would be cool. A Daytona MP5 would be really really neat.
Oh, now we are talking about something a little bit special.
Oh, the Systema PTWs. I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't jump on the hype train for those. They seem cool, but I don't know. I'm not super into it, I guess. It just the hype and the appeal of it just isn't something for me, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm not understanding it or something or what, but it's I don't know.
What I like about Systema is the option of how you can change the performance of the gun. The basically the whole system is basically one system.
Yeah.
But you can change the spring unit.
Yeah. Which I do understand. That's really a really neat thing to be able to do.
It's a convenient way to do it because you just break the rifle like you would normally do for servicing and you just put a new spring system. Yeah. And voila!
Yeah, which I
you have a different FPS.
I totally get that. It's very, very, very convenient. But the one thing that I don't know, maybe just the novelty of it is not as interesting to me, but the quick change spring system that has become so prevalent in like version 2, version 3 gearboxes is kind of similar to that. Like if you need to tone it down, like my MP5, all I have to do is take the buttstock off, pull the spring out, put a new one in, boom, done. Same with the Evo. The Evo just pull the stock off of it. ACR, I don't even pull the stock off of it, just fold the stock to the side, pull the spring out. It's the exact same thing, and I continue to get the same performance out of the gun, just at a lower FPS for indoor or outdoor work. So maybe
Yeah.
that's where it's coming from for me. Like I don't see as much value in it myself, but the Systema as a whole is really really neat. I will give it that. It's just not something that. It's also again kind of how we were talking about Novrich with the price point thing. It's like I
Hmm.
could build a rifle that kind of does the same thing for a lot less and still performs really well and not lose any sleep at night. So that's where I come with it. But you know, the Systema PTW is still really neat. Definitely better than just a normal quick change spring guide. I get that. But, it's kind of a pick your poison type thing. So,
Yes, it is. But again, with all kind of guns, as I basically stated earlier, but then about the real sharp version of it,
mhm.
there is always an up and downside of everything.
Oh, yeah, there always is.
HPA, GPP, more maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
AAG, well, you can run it for many years without maintaining it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it breaks, you have more work with it as well.
Yep.
If you're going to go for the simplest and most easiest way to maintain and everything, Springer, voila. But again, if it breaks,
Yeah.
good luck finding parts.
Yeah. Unless it's a VSR 10, good
Yeah.
luck. Or some other like popular sniper. If it's a shotgun, that's trash. That's why I go so. That's why I baby my my Benelli so much because it's an old TM Benelli that doesn't have parts. It's like if the day you die is the day that my shotgun soul dies. Please do not die. I cannot
No.
find another one of these. It's not possible. It just isn't. So, I think that's a fair assessment just across the board. There's highs and lows to each of them, but
Yep.
it's really more about what you want out of the experience more than what the rifle can do on its own. If we're being honest, so I don't know that calling the NGRS the TM NGRS is the budget PTW. I don't think so, Chief. That system has way more problems than the PTW ever did. That thing, from all the people I've ever talked to that have owned one of those, all they tell me about them are fucking problems. I don't know, man. Maybe they
Again,
just got really bad batches of them or something. But I've talked to like 10 or 15 people that have owned them, and they all fucking hate them. Maybe I'm just talking to the wrong people, but I feel like 10 to 15 people all not liking them is too much of a sample size to just neglect that sample size and just say they're just not doing it right. There's got to be something there going on. I don't know, Liz. Do you know anything about that? Is that kind of the same experience you get, or are those 15 people just out of their fucking mind?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? Okay. Have you not really messed with the NGRS TM stuff?
I have seen it and everything, and I actually haven't had much like bad reviews about it. Again, as I'm not gonna basically brag about myself, but to say this way, when it comes to Tuku Marui, it's one of the brands that I like the most because it was the one that I started with.
Yeah.
It's the one that's still working today. And I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 Tuku Marui guns in this room.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that a lot of people think about Tuku Marui as a lot of plastic because of the laws in Japan.
Yeah. I don't think that's a knock to it, though. I mean, they still
no.
work.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
They work.
If we're going to go to, say, talk about like gas guns, they are one of the most efficient ones on the market.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. For sure.
Like the high kappa, just straight out high kappa.
Yeah.
Which
or any
one?
2011 that uses a high kappa system. Any of them.
Yes. What brand actually kickstarted that system?
Say it would be
Marui.
TM, yeah. Say it was their TM5. Is it their 5.1? The OG high kappa?
Yeah, I
Or
think
is there
that's
one
T1,
before it?
5-1. Something. Anyway, like that's one of the big names from
Mhm.
Tokumarui. You also have the AEG that basically started from Tokumarui.
Mhm.
Because if you go back, way back,
Yeah, so they were
before we
making
have
AEGs
all the
long before any
ACRs
other
and
brand.
M4s,
Yeah, way before
yes,
them.
they were the ones starting basically as of the way we know it today.
Mhm.
We owe it to Tokumarui.
Yeah. Say, and I'm
So
not
when people are,
me. Yeah. Say, you go ahead. You
yeah,
had. Sorry.
so I have had a conversation with a lot of people about, oh, it's just plastic, it's just shitty guns, and blah blah blah. Well, excuse me, but what brand do you think actually started the whole fucking thing for you?
Mhm.
Exactly. Tokumarui, you have to thank them.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for Tokumarui, we would have older functions or older systems today.
I don't know. The
Because
airsoft would be
Tokumarui would have
where it
won.
is without TM. I honestly
Yeah,
don't.
exactly.
I mean, that'd be a whole. It'd probably look more like paintball, even more than it already does.
Mm-hmm.
It'd probably be more like pneumatic. Like you would have way more HPA stuff going on, probably. Just
Yeah,
because of the close relation to paintball, you'd see a lot more of the pneumatic air stuff going around. You wouldn't see as many
mm-hmm.
electric guns going on, which that would be
Exactly.
fucking whack. Could you imagine a polar, like a complete opposite universe where HPAs are more common and AEGs are like the weirdos, like the speed soft guys running super high speed build AEGs? Could you imagine that? That'd be fucking
Also,
wild.
uh, Zero, you're talking about the next gen recoil systems. My HK470 is that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be honest and say that there's a lot of people who loves that rifle. Because when they have a chance to just play with one fucking mag of it, they are like, where can I buy this gun? How much does it cost? And I'm like showing them the price and they are like, oh, fuck.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I think that's where a lot of the disappointment with them comes from is the price tag on them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will say, the NGRS owners that I've talked to, they've had problems with them since they got them. And maybe it's a problem where they're trying to get better performance out of it. Because again, there's a difference between what people here in the States use them for versus what people
Yeah.
across the ocean, across the pond use them for. Um, and I think it's a problem, at least from what I've talked to them about. The FPS is kind of lacking, the precision is kind of lacking, all these things are kind of lacking in it. And so when they go to, try to tune them and work on them, it never fucking goes well. Even like the dudes that are professional techs, the dudes that are professional techs and know what they're doing, like they can work on GBBRs, they can work on AEGs, HPAs, all this stuff. They're working on them and they're doing their best to get them to work, putting all these parts into them that should be working, and they just
Mm-hmm.
never run. They never work right. So maybe
I'm,
it's a
I'm,
problem where they're not understanding what they're doing, but I feel like some
I'm
of these
gonna
dudes should know what they're doing.